The city isn't sleeping, but neither am I. Streetlight on the ceiling, shadows passing by. Your coat is on the chair now, your voice is in this room. There's something in the silence that doesn't want to move. We don't need the television, we don't need the sound. Every word we never said is somehow here right now. Still awake at midnight, breathing in the dark, holding on to moments before they fall apart. Still awake at midnight, no need to pretend. Some nights aren't for leaving, they're just not meant to end. The clock keeps turning slowly, like it understands this space between our fingers, this distance in our hands. No promises are spoken, no future to defend, just a quiet understanding we don't have to explain. We've both seen enough daylight to know what fades away, but something in this hour makes me wanna stay. Still awake at midnight, breathing in the dark, holding on to moments before they fall apart. Still awake at midnight, no need to pretend. Some nights aren't for leaving, they're just not meant to end. When the morning finds us, it can take its time. Right now the world is smaller, and your hand is close to mine. No rush for resolutions, no need to decide. This night is wide and open, and we're still inside. Still awake at midnight, the light is soft and low. We don't need tomorrow to tell us what we know. Still awake at midnight, let the silence stay. If this is all we're given, it's enough for today. The night is wide and patient, like it's hurt us all before. Streetlight through the curtains, tracing lines across the floor. We both carried silence longer than we should, learning how to stand alone when no one understood. We've seen the morning break things, we've watched the daylight change, but something in this hour feels steady, not afraid. Softly speak tonight, let the past stay still. Some just need the will. Softly speak tonight. Don't try to explain. Some words are meant for midnight, not for the day again. The years have left their fingerprints on everything we are. In the way we hold back questions, in the way we guard our hearts. No need for loud confessions, no need to rewrite time. There's comfort in the knowing that what we have is real enough tonight. We walked through brighter hours that didn't always last, but the dark can sometimes be kinder than the past. Softly speak tonight, let the room stay slow. Some feelings don't need promises, they just need to grow. Softly speak tonight, no pressure to decide. The night is wide between us, and there's nowhere we need to hide. We both lost more than we're saying. We both stood in the rain, learned how to carry heartache without showing the pain. But something in this midnight feels honest and clear, like all the years behind us brought us right here. Softly speak tonight, let the truth come slow. We've walked through too much daylight to let this moment go. Softly speak tonight, no fear, no disguise. If this is where we're standing, it's worth the quiet between our lives. There's a space between our sentences where something always stays. Not quite a confession, not something we can name. The room is barely breathing, the light is low and thin, and everything we're holding feels closer than it's been. We've learned to guard our feelings like they might disappear, but silence has a way of bringing truth too near. Between what we don't say, there's more than we admit, in the pauses and the glances, in the way we never quit. Between what we don't say, something real survives, not loud enough for daylight, but strong enough tonight. We've both had years of distance, we've both known how it ends, how easy it is to promise, how hard it is to bend. No need to push for answers, no need to cross a line. Some truths are better spoken without a single sign. The dark can be still fit between what we don't say. There's nothing left to prove. Some nights are built on silence and the courage not to move. If this is as far as we go, if this is all we know, it's enough to feel the warmth of something slow. We don't need a future written in the sky, just this honest hour where nothing has to hide. Between what we don't say, there's truth we understand. Not everything is spoken to be held inside a hand. Between what we don't say, the quiet makes it clear. What we've been circling is already here. There's a weight inside this quiet, like it's waiting to be known. Every glance we try to soften says more than we've shown. We've both stood on this edge before and stepped away in time, but something feels different now, like crossing isn't a crime. We've carried careful distance for reasons we won't name, but distance doesn't quiet the truth beneath the flame. What we almost said is still hanging in the air, in the pauses of our breathing, in the way we're still right here. What we almost said never really left. Some words don't disappear, they just stay beneath the breath. We've learned how to be careful, how to measure every move, how to close a door gently with nothing left to prove. But tonight the lines are thinner than they've ever been before, and silence feels less like safety and more like an open door. We don't need dramatic answers or promises too loud, just the courage in this moment to let it out somehow. What we almost said is louder than we planned, in the space between our shadows, in the way we almost stand. What we almost said is closer than it seems, not written in a future, but alive in this in-between. If we let this pass again, it will echo down the years, in the rooms we sit alone in the sound of our own fears. We've both lost enough to know what regret can do. Sometimes staying silent is the louder truth. What we almost said doesn't need a stage, it's written in our silence across the lines of age. What we almost said is simple been here before, standing on this line where silence feels safer than speaking what's on our minds. We've watched chances slip like light through the door, telling ourselves it's better not to want more. But every time we walk away, something stays behind, a quiet kind of ache that only grows with time. If we let this go again, will it follow us home in the spaces of our evenings when we're sitting alone? If we let this go again, will we finally see that what we're trying to escape is what we're meant to be? We've learned how to survive without asking for much, how to lower expectations, how to soften a touch. But underneath the calm, there's a truth we both feel. Some doors stay closed, but some are meant to be real. We don't need a perfect future or a promise in the sky, just the courage for this moment to stop saying goodbye. If we let this go again, will it fade away or echo in the mornings of another day? If we let this go again, will we understand that sometimes holding on is the bravest stand? We've both lost enough to know what regret can do, how it sits beside you when the night is through. If this is our last chance to choose something true, maybe staying isn't weakness, maybe it's overdue. If we let this go again, there won't be a sound, just a slower kind of loneliness following us around. If we let this go again, we'll carry it inside, and no amount of daylight will make it easy to hide. We stood at doors like this before, with reasons in our heads, convincing ourselves that leaving is how we understand. We've called it being careful, we've called it being wise, but wisdom never trembles like it does behind your eyes. There's a cost to every silence, there's a weight to every lie, and pretending not to feel this is just another way to hide. If we walk away tonight, will it finally disappear, or soften instead of holding close, but almost turns to memory, and memory turns to stone. And stones don't break in daylight, they just grow heavier alone. We don't need forever written in the air, just the nerve to stay right here instead of going nowhere. If we walk away tonight, will it set us free, or carve another hollow in what we're meant to be? If we walk away tonight, will we finally see that what we're trying to outrun is what we're meant to keep? We both felt regret before. It doesn't shout or scream, it waits until the quiet and lives inside your dreams. If this is our last honest chance to stand and not pretend, then maybe turning back again is where the truth will end. If we walk away tonight, there won't be a sound, just a slower kind of loneliness following us around. If we walk away tonight, we'll carry it for years in no amount of daylight. We'll silence what we hear. We'll silence what we hear. We spent enough years running from what we couldn't name, turning every quiet into something we could blame. But tonight the air feels different, like it's finally clear. No shadows left between us, no distance left to fear. We don't need a reason, we don't need a sign. Sometimes the right direction is simply standing still in time. We don't have to run, we don't have to hide. Not every open door leads to goodbye. We don't have to run, we can let this stay. If it feels like home tonight, maybe that's enough today. We've both learned how to leave before we get too close, how to call it caution when it hurts the most. But something in your silence feels steady and true, like all the roads we wandered were leading back to you. No promise carved in stone, no future to defend, just this quiet understanding that we don't have to pretend. We don't have to run, we don't have to hide. The fear that kept us careful doesn't need to decide. We don't have to run, we can let this be. Not every brave decision needs certainty. Maybe love isn't louder than the doubts we've known. Maybe it's just softer when it finally feels carried enough weight to know when to stay. And tonight the silence isn't asking us to walk away. Just a sign. We don't have to run. Let the past fall through. If the night feels honest, I'll stay here with you. We've walked through quieter mornings after louder nights. We've learned how to be patient with truths that take their time. No rush in how we're breathing, no need to prove a thing. The weight we used to carry doesn't feel the same. Not every choice is thunder, not every change is loud. Sometimes it's just a steady hand that brings you back around. This is where we finally stand, not chasing, not afraid, not trying to outrun the promises we never made. This is where we finally stand. No spotlight overhead, just the simple understanding of the words we never said. We've seen how love can falter when pride gets in the way, how silence can grow colder with every passing day. But something here feels settled, like ground beneath our feet, not built on grand illusions, just something honest, something real. No need for fireworks, no need to raise the sky. What lasts is often quieter than what we let go by. This is where we finally stand, no armor left to wear, not fighting for a future, just choosing to be here. This is where we finally stand, no fear left to defend. Some roads don't need a map when you know where they end. We don't need a promise what tomorrow's gonna be. Just let this night remind us of what we've come to see. We've crossed enough distance to recognize the truth. Sometimes the strongest choice is the one that feels like you. Turning this into something we're afraid won't last. This is where we finally stand, no louder than a breath, just two people choosing to stay in trying not to fall, holding on to reasons that didn't fit at all. We thought that love was fragile, like something we could break, so we kept our distance for our own mistakes. But looking back from here, with all these years between, I see we were just learning what loving really means. We did the best we could with what we understood. Not every wrong turn was wrong for good. We did the best we could with hearts still unsure. And maybe that was always what we were meant to learn. There were nights we chose a safer road instead of staying close, moments we let drift away when they mattered most. But I don't see it as failure now, or something we should hide. Some lessons take a lifetime to recognize inside. We carried all that history like it was something lost, but maybe it was shaping us at any cost. We did the best we could in rooms without a map, trying to protect ourselves from what we didn't have. We did the best we could, and maybe that's enough. Not every broken moment means we weren't strong enough. If I could speak to who we were, I wouldn't change a thing. Every scar and every doubt led us to this evening. Sometimes you have to wonder before you understand that love is less about control and more about where you stand. We did the best we could. Here we are tonight, not perfect in our choices, but honest in the light. We did the best we could with everything we knew. And maybe all those years were leading back to you. The night is giving answers without a single word, in the way we sit together, in everything we've heard. No urgency between us, no pressure left to prove, just the quiet understanding that we've nothing left to lose. We don't need to hold it tighter, we don't need to make it last. Some moments aren't for keeping, they're just meant to pass. Even if the morning comes and pulls us back apart, this night will stay between us like a steady heart. Even if the morning comes and changes what we see, it won't erase the honesty you found in me. We've carried enough questions to last 1,000 days, but tonight they feel lighter, in softer shades of gray. No promises demanded, no future carved in stone, just the warmth of knowing we were never alone. Sometimes peace is simple, sometimes love is small. Not every truth we discover needs to conquer all. Even if the morning comes and calls us by our names, we won't look at this as something we should try to explain. Even if the morning comes and takes the dark away, it won't take the quiet that taught us how to stay. We've both seen what happens when we try to hold too tight, how fear can turn a good thing into something that feels right to fight. But this feels softer, somehow less fragile, less unsure. Not because it's louder, but because it feels mature. Even if the morning comes, we'll meet it as we are. Not perfect in our timing, but honest in the dark. Even if the morning comes and this becomes a memory, it will be one we carry without regret or injury. Not every night is different, not every silence stays, but sometimes there's a moment that shifts the way you see your days. No thunder in the distance, no fireworks above, just a quiet kind of turning in the shape of what you love. We don't always notice when the change begins. Sometimes it's just a feeling settling within. Some nights change us without a single sound. They don't ask for attention, they don't turn us around. Some nights change us in ways we can't explain. They leave a softer imprint that time won't wash away. We've had our share of stories that faded with the dawn. Conversations carry, and then we're gone. But this feels less like passing, less like something small, more like standing still and finally seeing it all. No need to call it destiny, no need to give it a name. Sometimes the simplest moments are the ones that rearrange. Some nights change us, not loudly, not fast. They just make us gentler about the weight of the past. Some nights change us and we don't even know until we wake up lighter than we were an hour ago. We've both seen how years can harden what once was open wide, how easy it is to guard yourself and slowly step aside. But every now and then the heart remembers how to stand without defenses and simply allow. Some nights change us and we carry them along. Not as something broken, but as something strong. Some nights change us and quietly remain, like a steady kind of warmth we didn't know we'd gain. There's a quiet in the distance, like the night is drawing thin, a softer kind of ending than the way it did begin. No sudden change between us, no words we need to say, just a sense that something is slowly slipping in today. We both knew this hour would never stay too long, but that doesn't make it any less strong. Before the light breaks through, before the sky turns blue, let me stay inside this moment, here with you. Before the light breaks through, before the dark is gone, let this quiet understanding carry on. We've stood inside enough goodbyes to know how they can feel, how some are loud and broken and some are almost real. But this feels less like losing and more like something earned, a warmth we didn't rush into, a lesson slowly learned. No promises demanded, no future to defend, just gratitude for finding this before it has to end. Before the light breaks through and calls us back to life, let's hold this steady feeling without the need to fight. Before the light breaks through and time resumes its pace, let this night be something we don't have to erase. We've both known darker mornings after brighter nights, but this feels different somehow, less shadow, more light. Not every ending breaks you, not every dawn divides. Sometimes it just reminds you of what still lives inside. Before the light breaks through, let's breathe it in once more, not trying to make it forever, not closing any door. Before the light breaks through, if this is where it stays, it's enough to know we found it in these quiet hours we made. The curtains let the daylight in without a rush or sound. No sudden need to question what we finally found. The room feels almost ordinary, but something's not the same. There's less weight in how we're breathing, less distance left to name. We didn't change the world last night, we didn't make it new, but something small and honest shifted me and you. Morning feels different now, not brighter, just more clear. Like the air is lighter when there's nothing left to fear. Morning feels different now, not louder, not brand new, just steadier somehow, because of you. We've seen enough of endings to know how they can start, how sometimes what feels fragile is just a guarded heart. But this feels less uncertain, less built on what might fade, more like something simple that didn't need to be persuaded. No promises to chase today, no drama to defend, just the quiet understanding we don't have to pretend. Morning feels different now, like we can let it be. Not every kind of courage needs to be seen. Morning feels different now, like standing on firm ground, not because the world has changed, but because we turned around. We've both known mornings that carried quiet doubt, where last night's hope was something to live without. But this feels softer somehow, less fragile than before, not something we're afraid of when we walk toward the door. Morning feels different now, and maybe that's enough. Not everything that lasts has to be loud or tough. Morning feels different now, and even if it fades, it left a steady warmth that doesn't slip away. The streets are moving forward, but like they always do, cars and conversations, nothing feels brand new. But underneath the surface of everything I see, there's something from last night still quietly with me. It didn't fade with sunrise, it didn't lose its tone. Some feelings don't belong to darkness alone. You're still with me in the daylight, in the rhythm of my steps, in the way the air feels softer, in the calm I haven't left. You're still with me in the daylight, not louder, just more clear, like something that was distant is finally right here. We didn't make a promise, we didn't draw a line, something settled gently into the back of my mind. not fragile like a secret, not burning like a flame, just steady like a heartbeat that doesn't need a name. I've known mornings before that erase what came before, but this feels less like fading and more like something sure. You're still with me in the daylight, in the middle of the noise, in the quiet kind of confidence behind my voice. You're still with me in the daylight, not something I must prove, just a steady kind of presence in everything I do. We've both seen how moments can disappear by noon, how what felt undeniable fades too soon. But this feels less like wishing, less like holding tight, more like something honest that survived the light. You're still with me in the daylight, and maybe that's enough. Not everything enduring has to start out rough. You're still with me in the daylight, simple and true. The night didn't keep you, it carried you through. There was a time I would have questioned what this feeling meant, turn it over in my hands until the edges bend. But now it sits more steady, like something I can trust, not built on restless hoping or fragile bursts of us. We've both known how it feels when things can fall apart, but this doesn't shake that way, it settles in the heart. Nothing about this is fragile, nothing about this is thin. It doesn't break in the daylight, it doesn't fade from within. Nothing about this is fragile, it doesn't need to be loud. It stands on its own weight without chasing a crowd. We're not pretending permanence, we're not chasing forever, but there's a quiet strength here that's lighter than a feather. We've walked through enough doubt to recognize what's real, and this doesn't need defending, it simply lets us feel. No sudden sparks required, no dramatic proof. Some things grow stronger because they're rooted in truth. Nothing about this is fragile, it doesn't tremble or sway, it doesn't vanish at sunrise or slip quietly away. Nothing about this is fragile, it's steady in its pace, not something we're holding on to, just something in its place. We both had love that flickered under too much air, too bright and burning until it wasn't there. But this something that can endure. Nothing about this is fragile. It's simple and it's strong. Not something we rescued after something went wrong. Nothing about this is fragile. It stands without a fight, and that's what makes it different from everything before. Tonight, we don't talk about forever. We don't have to anymore. It's not something hanging over us like it did before. The room feels lived in the best kind of way, and nothing needs adjusting, nothing left to say. We've both seen how hard it can be to make something stay, but this doesn't feel like effort. It just feels easy this way. It's easy like this. No edge to defend, no line we're afraid of, no place we pretend. Like this, steady and slow. Not something we're chasing, just something we know. There was a time we would have questioned every silent pause, tried to trace the meaning behind every cause, but now it feels different, less fragile, less tight. Not something we're holding, just something that's right. No need for big decisions, no fear in the air, just the kind of comfort you don't have to declare. It's easy like this. It doesn't resist, it doesn't burn too brightly or fade into mist. It's easy like this, grounded and true, not louder than breathing, but strong enough to move. We've both known trembled under too much doubt, where every quiet moment was something to figure out. But this doesn't ask for answers, it doesn't demand a sign, it just settles softly into yours and mine. It's easy like this, no need to insist. Not something we rescued or something we missed. It's easy like this, and that's how it stays. Not built on a single night, but on all our days. started in the quiet, when the world had fallen still, with questions in the silence and space we couldn't fill. We didn't know the ending, or where the dark would bend. We only knew the feeling was something we shouldn't have. There were words we almost whispered, there were fears we almost named, but something kept us steady when everything had changed. From midnight to morning, we found our way through, not chasing forever, just something true. From midnight to morning, without a grand design, we didn't plan the journey, but the road aligned. We stood inside the shadows and watched them slowly thin, turned out into understanding, let daylight in. No promises demanded, no walls left to defend, just the quiet kind of courage to let the night extend. We've both seen hours pass without leaving a trace, but this one left a softness time won't erase. From midnight to morning, we didn't try to win, we only chose to stay where we had always been. From midnight to morning, we let the silence speak, and found in something gentle the strength we didn't seek. There were years behind us, there are years ahead, but this was never about the words we said. It was in how we listened and how we stood, and sometimes that's enough to call something good. From midnight to morning, the change was small but real, not written in a promise, but written in how we feel. From midnight to morning, no thunder, no warning, just two hearts steady. From midnight to morning. The room feels different now, not empty, just still, like something settled gently against its will. No need to fill the silence, no need to explain. Some nights don't disappear, they simply remain. We've both said what mattered in ways we can't repeat. Sometimes what lingers is what makes it complete. After the words are gone and the lights are low, there's something in the quiet that we both know. After the words are gone, no need to defend. Some truths don't need speaking to reach their end. We're not chasing echoes, we're not holding tight, just letting what was honest stay in the light. Not everything important has to be loud. Some things grow stronger without a crowd. We've both learned the value of letting moments breathe. Sometimes what we don't hold is what we keep. After the words are gone, there's nothing to prove. No sudden rush of feeling, no need to move. After the words are gone, we're steady, we're clear. Not because it's perfect, but because it's here. We've both known endings that shattered the room, but this feels softer, like natural bloom. No broken edges, no sudden divide, just something that rests quietly inside. After the words are gone and the night turns thin, there's no need to hold it or pull it back in. After the words are gone, if this is where it stays, it's enough to know we meant what we didn't say. There were years I would have asked for something louder than this, for fireworks in the distance, for a moment I could miss. But now I see the value in what doesn't try to shine, in something that grows slowly without asking for a sign. We didn't need perfection, we didn't need control. Sometimes the quiet answer is the one that makes you whole. I'm grateful for the quiet, for how it came to stay, for how it held us steady when doubt could have its say. I'm grateful for the quiet, not loud, not fast, not new, just something strong enough to carry me and you. We've both seen how fragile the bright beginnings seem, how easy it is to lose yourself in someone else's dream. But this was never fragile, it never asked to prove it just remained consistent in everything we choose. No spotlight on the moment, no crowd to understand, just two people learning how to stand. I'm grateful for the quiet, for mornings without fear, for nights that didn't shatter when the daylight drew near. I'm grateful for the quiet, for how it feels inside. Not something we defended, just something we didn't hide. We've both known love that echoed, then slowly disappeared, but this one kept its promise without needing to be cheered. It didn't shout forever, it didn't beg to last. It simply stayed consistent long after doubts had passed. I'm grateful for the quiet and everything it gave. Not something we were rescued from, not something we had to save. I'm grateful for the quiet, and even if it ends, it will remain a steady light in how this story bends. The light is fully settled across the quiet room. No trace of what was fragile, no shadow left to move. We're not holding on to what we cannot keep, just letting what was honest rest in something deep. We don't need to name it, we don't need to say it. Some stories close themselves in their own quiet way, and that was enough. Not louder than a breath, not written in forever, not measured against regret. And that was enough for where we chose to stand. Not something we were chasing, just something we could understand. We've seen how nights can promise more than they can give, but this one left us steady in how we choose to live. No unfinished sentences, no sudden need for more, just the calm of knowing what we open and what we close the door for. No final declaration, no curtain call. Some endings don't collapse, they simply fall. And that was enough for this